You are watching KAVU 25 News Now at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Adam Seibel. A 10-year-old Cuero boy who was reported missing as a runaway earlier today has now been found and is back home safe with his parents. Derek Gordon is now home safe with his parents as reported by the Cuero Police Department. Earlier today, it had been declared as a runaway and police were searching for him to get him home safe. The Cuero Police Department thanks everybody for sharing the alert on social media. At approximately 3:30 a.m., a truck took Victoria Police Department on an alleged pursuit. This was last night. This footage obtained from a viewer shows VPD in a high-speed chase in the southern part of the city. The truck had damage from the alleged pursuit. It's unclear exactly what events took place prior. We've reached out to Victoria Police Department for further details and we're awaiting more details. After looking into jail records, we discovered the Victoria Police Department arrested a Jesus Benavides for evading arrest. It's not confirmed if that's related to the pursuit from this morning, but the Victoria Police Department should have more details in the coming hours into tomorrow. Shamrock Products LLC released an update on the oil spill that occurred on January 3rd, 2024. They said at this time there's no risk to the surrounding communities other than that noticeable nuisance from the odor. Shamrock's products accidentally released 300 barrels of crude oil substance into the port of Victoria. Their statement said that a valve on a petroleum product storage tank was damaged at the facility at the port of Victoria. That's when 300 barrels of material stored in the tank were spilled into the storage berm and were fortunately contained with none entering the Victoria Barge Canal. The material in that tank consisted of crude oil, mercaptan, which is the source of that bad smell, fuel oil, B38, and reruns. They say there understands of the complaints of that cat urine / ammonia odor, but none of the products contained ammonia or detectable levels of H2S. The odor emanating from the product was from the mercaptan. They say regarding the smell, if you have any concerns, you can contact local health officials or file a report with the TCEQ by calling 888-777-3186. The Goliad County Sheriff's Office has arrested 3 men from Bastrop for evading arrest and engaging in organized criminal activity. Other charges include unlawful carry of a weapon, duty upon striking a parked vehicle, and no driver's license. Jose Antonio Castro Quesadina, Damian Ray Henderson, and Christian Jesus Munoz Galindo were booked into the Goliad County Jail. The Victoria County Public Health Department is partnering with Midcoast Family Services to put on a prevention and education class on vaping. You can join them Saturday, January 13th for a presentation on the dangers of vaping and how families can work together to combat the risks effectively. They'll meet at the Patty Dotson Center in the classroom at VCPHD 2805 North Navarro at 10 a.m. Lunch will be provided, community service hours earned, credit signed upon request. So here's your viewer poll this evening. Do you vape? Looks like slim majority say yes, 5%, 95% say no. Thanks for voting. Come to crossroadstoday.com to participate. All right, let's check in with Trey Mining on weather. First Warn Storm Team meteorologist Trey Mining with us now. How's it looking out there?
Well, it's looking a little bit on the cool side, increasing humidity. I'm sure you can feel that if you're outside. There's a live view from Cuero, by the way. Cloudy skies around the region. That's just the forerunner of rain headed our way before we get through your day tomorrow. We're seeing that coming on through. And we'll see temperatures. Well, let's see if my clicker will work here. It's trying to work. There we go, I think. Nah, there we go. I just don't want to work here on Sunday night. 61 degrees currently in and around the Victoria region. Cloudy skies. Humidity on the rise. Setting the stage for rainfall for us. Cool temperatures. And maybe another chance of rainfall, potentially, maybe, somewhere else down the line, too, in the week. Give you the details coming up later on in the full forecast, Adam.
All right, thanks, Trey. And then across America, millions across the Northeast are digging out from the first significant snowstorm of the season and what's bracing for what's next. A potentially rare and more dangerous storm could create a major risk to the region early this week.
Severe weather from coast to coast affecting 50 million Americans. In the south, a tornado hit Fort Lauderdale, Florida early Saturday evening as a line of storms moved across the Sunshine State. Videos posted on social media show power flashes and strong winds in the area. A National Weather Service team will determine the strength of the tornado. Amazingly, officials say no one was injured and only minor damage. In the Northeast, the first major winter storm of the year, packing snow, wind, and even freezing rain.
Honestly, it feels like an apocalypse out here.
Right?
More than half a foot of snow reported in parts of southwestern Pennsylvania and West Virginia. In Newton, New Jersey, even horses were enjoying the first snowflakes of 2024. The heaviest snowfall expected in the Hudson Valley, the Poconos in Pennsylvania, and parts of New England. The same winter storm left an icy mess across the Midwest. In Arkansas, a crash backing up traffic for miles, leaving hundreds of drivers stuck.
I always drive with Google Maps. It suggested that I get off, and at the last minute I said, you know what, I think I'll be okay. Well, I chose poorly. I was wrong.
And in Kansas, the snow leading to crashes.
Are slammed with calls. I was talking to dispatch a while ago, and the phones just keep blowing up.
More than 20 inches of snow expected to fall in the Cascade Mountains. Chuck Severson, ABC News, New York.
There are new details regarding Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin's hospitalization. According to Pentagon officials, Secretary Austin underwent an elective medical procedure at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center on December 22nd and returned home the following day. On the evening of January 1st, he was readmitted to the medical center due to severe pain and placed in the intensive care unit. But it wasn't until January 4th that his deputy secretary, the National Security Council, and President Biden were notified of his hospitalization. A statement tonight from the Pentagon confirms that Secretary Austin remains at Walter Reed but is recovering well and in good spirits, although not disclosing the exact details of the procedure, citing privacy reasons. The Pentagon says that Secretary Austin resumed his full duties on Friday evening and spoke to President Biden on Saturday. There's no word on when Secretary Austin will be released from the hospital. Grab your cell phone to scan this QR code. That's our quick response code to download the Crossroads Today app. Watch us anytime, anywhere, and get breaking news alerts and vote in our viewer polls. Learn all about our ongoing contest right there on the app, and you can submit news tips and photos. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up, overseas, Secretary Blinken is on an urgent diplomatic mission to the Middle East.
Okay, take a look at the almanac for today. High was 68 degrees, low 41 degrees, nice and warm this afternoon. Cool in the morning, near our normal high and low. Catching up on the rainfall, we're already above normal for the year so far. Adding to this number, yes we will. We'll give you details of that coming up in the forecast.
From the special counsel's probe about former President Trump's refusal for hours to help stop the violence on January 6th. This comes as Trump campaigns in Iowa, hoping for a resounding win with just 8 days to go before the caucuses.
The pressure is on. Republican candidates in Iowa turning up the heat on each other, and in particular on frontrunner Donald Trump.
God bless President Trump. He's been on a temper tantrum every day about me.
Not building the wall, elevating Fauci, adding 7.8 trillion. There's a lot of reason why he should not be the nominee going forward.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis accusing Trump of not following through on his promises, like getting rid of the constitutional right to citizenship if you're born in the country.
He had 4 years in office. All he had to do was sit down at that Oval Office.
Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley making one of her strongest arguments to Republican voters, talking about how well she does in hypothetical matchups against President Biden.
What we have to do is make sure we don't have another nail biter of an election.
Though many of Haley's own supporters acknowledging Trump's commanding lead in the primary polls.
What do you think Nikki Haley needs to do here in the state to show the rest of the country she can compete against Donald Trump?
Well, if she could get second place, that would help out a lot heading into New Hampshire. I don't know if she can do it.
Trump focused on his rivals too.
Nikki Haley has been in the pocket of the open borders establishment donors for her entire career.
And speaking to his supporters about the Civil War fought over slavery, saying he thinks it could have been negotiated.
See, there was something I think could have been negotiated, to be honest with you. I think you could have negotiated that.
Overseas now, Secretary Blinken on an urgent diplomatic mission to the Middle East. He's hoping to prevent the war between Israel and Hamas from spreading into a wider conflict in the region. This marks Blinken's 4th visit since hostiles began 3 months ago on October 7th.
With Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza still raging and entering its 4th month, and intense exchanges with Hezbollah on the border in Lebanon happening daily, Secretary of State Antony Blinken tonight on a high-stakes trip across the Middle East, his 4th with hopes for lasting peace hanging in the balance. Blinken today in Qatar with a warning to the world.
This is a conflict that could easily metastasize, causing even more insecurity and even more suffering.
Blinken earlier meeting with King Abdullah of Jordan, who's been calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, later criticizing some Israeli lawmakers for working against a two-state solution.
We reject the statements by some Israeli ministers and lawmakers calling for a resettlement of Palestinians outside of Gaza. These statements are irresponsible, they're inflammatory, and they only make it harder to secure a future of Palestinian-led Gaza.
This displaced Palestinian woman calling on Blinken to help end the war. We hope he ends the misery we are living in, she says. This weekend, Hezbollah firing dozens of rockets at targets in northern Israel from Lebanon. The Iranian-backed group saying it was retaliation for an Israeli airstrike in Beirut that killed a top Hamas official earlier this week. Israel saying the flare-up will make any negotiations that much more difficult.
And at the same time, leaders here in Israel and Ukraine, where the war there has now stretched up to nearly 2 years, they will be watching very closely the government spending package that's been approved in the U.S., wondering what impact that will have on military aid. Both Israel and Ukraine say they face existential threats from the outside and that aid from the U.S. will be critical. Marcus Moore, ABC News, Tel Aviv.
For more on today's news stories, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com. Don't forget to submit your birthday wishes. Carolina Strain will read them live on 25 News Now Sunrise, and you can submit a local military hero so we can recognize them.
Okay, on the outside, temperatures currently in the 50s, pretty much area-wide, and the low 60s as well. Temperatures pretty stable for the rest of the evening tonight. Tomorrow, rainfall fall chances, and the temperatures take a downward turn. We'll give you the details coming up in your full forecast. Good evening, good evening. Trey Mining here. Hope your Sunday was a good day. It was for me. Temperatures in the 60s. They're pretty much staying that way for the rest of the night. Very mild conditions currently. And 70s for your daytime high tomorrow. But what's this happening to the north of the area? Coming up by tomorrow afternoon. That's the front moving on through. The temperatures tumbling as we go toward the late afternoon, evening hours. And take a look at this, 50s and 40s. By the time you wake up early on your Tuesday morning, time to grab the jackets again and wear them on the way out. It'll be mighty chilly, especially tomorrow. Not in the morning tomorrow, but on Tuesday morning. And the northerly winds are definitely going to give a wind chill in the air. And with that, dry air coming down from the north behind the front. Very windy conditions. That's the right ingredients for some fire danger. And that's going to be the case throughout most of the Crossroads area. But officially, we have red flag alerts, which is a fire weather alert from B County, counties south and west toward the Rio Grande Valley, Laredo, Del Rio, and points north from there. So in my opinion, no matter where you are, whether you're under the alert area or you're not, be careful out there. Not a good day to burn anything. Wait for better conditions because of that dry air and the windy condition we'll be experiencing. So the winds the rest of the morning time, tomorrow morning, and then turning to the north by the time we get to the afternoon, 3 or 4 o'clock or so, as the front moves on through. Winds gusting to 30 miles per hour or higher. And that, of course, is definitely a criteria with the dry conditions and the cool temperatures to create some fire danger. High pressure dominating our weather here, moving to the east. Flow around the high pressure is just like this, bringing in the tropical moisture and feeding this storm out to the west. And it's going to continue to move toward the state of Texas fairly rapidly. Pretty good snow event, probably even blizzard conditions up there in Kansas, Nebraska, moving toward Iowa and Minnesota. Way to the north of us here, because thunderstorms along the frontal boundary. That's why we have the thunderstorm chance tomorrow. And look, isobar is very tightly packed. That means there's quite a wind system coming in around the low pressure area. So very windy conditions tomorrow. Hang on to your hats, folks. Be careful out there. In addition to the windy conditions tomorrow morning and the early afternoon, there is a slight risk of severe weather for our areas to the near Jackson County, and matter of fact, in Jackson County, points toward Houston. A marginal risk for severe weather in Victoria County proper and points to the north. Yeah, it's a small chance, but the chance nonetheless. So we need to keep heads about the weather. Be good to be weather aware for your day tomorrow. And chance of rain pretty good as we go throughout the time today and tomorrow. Actually, we'll have maybe half an inch or so, maybe near an inch in the eastern parts of the Crossroads region. Looking at the future tracker, keep the clouds in for the rest of the night tonight, and giving a little bit of clearing coming up early morning, but that's not lasting too long. Clouds are coming in again, and pretty good around the rain showers and thunderstorms for your day tomorrow, primarily in the afternoon or so. By the late afternoon, here comes the frontal boundary right there, pushing it all to the east and giving us some good weather and chilly weather coming up for our area starting on your Monday. And in Port Lavaca today, we're coming up for tomorrow, I should say, starting off 68 degrees, 70s by the afternoon time. Rain chances late in the day. That also goes for Cuero, high temperatures in the 70s again for your day tomorrow. Front not moving through until the afternoon. Victoria, about the same, temperatures in the 70s. Rain chances late in the day. The later the day you go, the better the rain chances will be. Rain chances for your Monday, here you go with that. Then after the front moves through, it's smooth sailing the rest of the time period, with highs in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, kind of all over the place, but a cool, dry week overall. Lows in the 50s and 60s. Enjoy it out there. Be weather aware again tomorrow. Take a look at this right here. This is the QR code. Get your smartphone, scan the code you see right there. You can download our app and be connected with us. News, weather, and sports all at your fingertips. Also sign up for email alerts right there for you. And it's free of charge. Got Zach in the house with sports.
Thank you, Trey. It's been a wild year. Into the wild card round we go. We now know the times and dates of the Texans and Cowboys wild card games in sports. Well, as I've said all year long, the Houston Texans going for that division, but they needed to win last night to even have that chance today. The Colts opened up the game with a field goal, and on the Texans' very first play from scrimmage, Stroud airs it out. How about a one-play, 70-yard pitch and catch to the house? The Texans take the lead, and they actually led 14-6 going into halftime. The Colts, though, needing a win just as badly. Give it to Jonathan Taylor, who had a monster night. That's going 50 yards to the house. Two-point conversion, good. And we're tied. Late in the fourth, tied at 17. Houston overcame a series of bad mistakes, and they punch it home. But the extra point, no good. Danger for Houston. 1 minute to go, deep in their own territory. Fourth and short, pass drop. D'Amico Ryans fired up. Houston headed to the playoffs. But what about that division? It was going to be theirs if the Jags lose, taking on the Tennessee Titans on the road. There's DeAndre Hopkins. Titans open up that lead to 28-13 in the third, but the Jags answer with a touchdown of their own. Just an 8-point game in the fourth quarter, but Tannehill gets picked off. The Jags in business. The Jags would actually work themselves to the goal line, but Tennessee holds at the 1-yard line. They get the win, 28-20. The Houston Texans are your AFC South champions. The Dallas Cowboys trying to win the division. All they need is a win. Midway through the first quarter, Dak Prescott is going to put it up for grabs. Excellent play to get on the board first. Dak Prescott fired up as well. But just before the end of the first half, trying to keep their foot on the gas, CeeDee Lamb is going to reach across the goal line. Dallas standing on business on the road, win 38-10, and they win the NFC East. And we now know the game details for this wild card round weekend. Houston, by winning the division, will play host to the Cleveland Browns. That game, a Saturday affair at NRG Stadium, 3:30 p.m. is the kickoff for that one. The Dallas Cowboys will play host to the Green Bay Packers. Head coach Mike McCarthy going against his old team. Dallas has not lost a game at AT&T Stadium all year. That game Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Here locally, the Bloomington Bobcats boys and girls got Schulenburg. The boys trying to go 2-0 in district play, and they do exactly that. They get the win 53-42. And I know last year was last year, but the boys with a Houston Texans-like rise, they won 4 games all year, already at 14 this year. And they went 1-10 in district last year, already at 2-0, and are riding an 8-game winning streak to boot. Don't sleep on Bloomington. The girls get that first district win of the season. Kylie Proctor, 19 points. The Lady Cats have won 9 of their last 11 ball games, fresh off their Holiday Hoops tournament win. Their overall record very good, 18-7. Bloomington will get the Louise Hornets next. Wild one between Yoakum and Tidehaven. This one went into overtime, and it was the Yoakum Bulldogs who pulled out the 52-50 win. Jamara Hopkins led the way with 19 points, including 2 of their 4 overtime points. Gage Harrison had the other 2. Zachary Taylor, 16 points on the evening. The Bulldogs played great defense when they needed it the most. Another overtime game, the Hallettsville boys, they defeat Columbus in double overtime, 63-56. That is Hallettsville's first district win of the year. They get Industrial on Tuesday, January 9th. The Edna boys getting Industrial out in the hardwood, and the Cowboys took it to the Cobras 54-33. Edna moves to 2-1 in district. Industrial falls to 1-2 in district play. And for the Edna Cowgirls, they just continue to roll, a perfect 5-0 in district, defeating the Industrial girls 51-41. The girls go to Hallettsville next. The Edna girls are going to get Rice, who have yet to win a district game. Another big game over at NRG, that's tomorrow. Washington versus Michigan, national championship game on the line. That's it for your sports. Adam, back to you.
Thanks, Zach. Stay with us. Coming up, India's inaugural solar mission has reached its destination. Experience our new digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. It's free, and you can stream our daily newscasts and much more using your connected TV. Just download Crossroads Today app Plus on your Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or Android TV. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. India's inaugural solar mission has reached its destination. The spacecraft launched on September 2nd and now 4 months later positioned itself at Lagrange Point 1, which according to NASA is between the Earth and the Sun outside of the Moon's orbit. India's Prime Minister made the announcement this weekend. The spacecraft is the country's first dedicated mission to study the Sun and its influence on space weather. Space weather. I've never really heard of that, Trey.
Interesting. Yes, it's a thing.
They got
It is
like
a thing.
rain and all that good stuff.
Not there in the middle of space, no, but it influences our weather here in a sort of way. This is like solar flares and what have you.
How's it influencing our weather now, I guess?
Pretty much now. We're seeing rain showers for your chance tomorrow, coming up by the morning and the afternoon time especially. Some of those could be on the heavy side, so watch and listen for weather developments. Then we cool down and be pretty mild overall coming up for the rest of the week to the weekend. Highs anywhere from the 50s to the low 70s, lows 30s and 40s. So get out there and enjoy it. Be weather wear tomorrow.
All right. Well, thank you, Trey, and thank you, Zach. Congrats to your Houston Texans.
Super Texans, Super Bowl.
All right.
Y'all Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, and congrats to Cowboys. Well, thanks for joining us. Have a great week, everyone.